And we are back after a little bit of a hiatus. We're back here as the Quantum Alchemists. I don't remember what episode it is, season two, episode three, I think. Right? I don't know. It's been
That's
I'm
awesome.
at
I love it.
I'm at the tail end of some nicotine withdrawal, so my brain is kind of fried. Um, yeah, quit vaping at Alex's request and for my own health. But yeah, we're back.
Yes.
Quantum Alchemists. We're healing.
Woo!
Healing. Um,
Woo!
hell,
Let's see,
hell
Mr.
yeah.
Ric Flair right
There
here,
you go, Ric
right?
Flair. Yeah. Um, yeah, we're back. How you doing, everybody? I'm Mr. Alchemistic, your host. You can call me B. I'm with Alex Romero Vinjin, Mr. Quantum. We're Quantum Alchemists,
That's
and
us.
it's a feel-good healing episode of
Yeah, you
Quantum.
know what? It's great. It's funny. It's like you can tell we've had a couple weeks off. We're a little rusty right now. Like, can't really talk right now. Don't really know what's going on.
Yeah,
And it's kind of like what's going on in the environment around us, right? It's kind of like a lot of that. I feel like a lot of this going on. We're all kind of getting, you know, swayed left and right, and there's a lot going on. And I know that you've been, tapped in with what's going on in the world, and I'm really looking forward to catching up on some of those things. And
very interesting energy to say the least, going on in the cosmos, in the country. A lot of interesting things going on, and in our own lives as well.
yeah,
So yeah, let's get started, man. Like, yeah, you're out in Vegas. You had some stuff
I
happen that brought you out
did.
there, business stuff, and
It
and
did, yeah. I
yeah, some
had, I,
synchronicities and
dude, it's so wild, man. Up until like last week, I've been not only like driving back and forth from like Los Angeles to Riverside, from to Rialto specifically. And so that's like, an hour and 20 minutes, give or take on a regular normal day, on a good day, maybe an hour and 10, on a bad day, forget it, like almost 2 hours. And so I've been driving like, back and forth almost every other day, to go see my mom, who's been, you know, slowly degrading in her condition. And now she's at a point where like, she's not really recognizing people or places. And so like a lot happened, right? Where it was like I got to spend a lot of time with her during that period of time where uh from New Year's until about, a week ago. So it's like a month and a half. And I feel like that was like God's way of like, kind of giving me my closure to some degree. And I say that because like I feel like she's maybe still here physically, and that's barely. Like, I know her condition is not too good, but I know mentally she's like checked out to some, like, for the most part. If we get her coherent, it'll be like a few minutes here and there, but for the most part she's lights out like most of the day. And so um that was a really, really tough thing to see, and I had to like decide. It was like I've got real life, obviously, there's emotions attached to this, and I love her dearly. It's my mom and everything. And then I've got real life situations happening, which is, I've got my livelihood. And, I've, in order for me to take care of her, I've been, doing consulting, and then in the midst of doing that, doing like Uber stuff. Um, and so all this is going on. And then next, the rear window of my car gets broken, and it gets vandalized, and I get robbed. And they took my laptop, and they took a few things, some money, whatever. And they took my food that was in there too, bastards. Um, but there's a lot of things that happened after that, which was like a series of events, which was the car had to go back to the place where I had it because it was a rental. And then they didn't have a replacement for me. So now I have a bunch of like, I have free time to some degree, but I still have to get stuff done. There's a lot of other business that I've been putting off because I've been so caught up with, having to do like the daily trips to go see my mom and all that stuff. And like, yeah, it would be nice to continue to do that, but the universe took away my mobility, right? Like I didn't have a way to like move flexible anymore. And so I had to take that as a okay, I need to redirect my focus. I have like I got to spend some of the greatest moments, with my mother before she's passing, and now I have to focus on me and focus on what I'm gonna do, and there's nothing more I can do for her, you know. Um, and I'm only going into this level of depth because I know I'm not the only one going through this. Like there's other people going through similar stuff, and like I'm only saying that I know that if she could talk to me out of her from her own conscious thought, she would tell me to go and do what I got to do, because she's always been the type of person that she did whatever she had to do when she had to do it. So I'm only doing what I feel she would do, and I did as much as I could. And so I'm not letting that stop me from continuing to live what I need to do and do what I need to do. I've got a lot of business stuff happening. Um, just to even shed a little bit of light on the synchronicities of everything. Like, yes, I took that fool's journey, that leap, when that car got taken from me because there was no replacement. Um, Almost immediately, like within a few hours, I got a phone call. Hey, you want to go to Vegas? And I keep getting phone calls to go to Vegas. And up until that moment, I had the responsibility of the car, which also came with the responsibility of having to go and see my mom and all this other stuff. So um, I didn't have that. I didn't have the ability to like detach and go. But I feel like the universe said, okay, you don't have that commitment anymore. You don't have that, that you don't have anything else that you can do this, right? Because this is what you've been talking about. B, you and I have been talking about me coming out to Vegas.
Been
Ad
months, like almost
nauseam.
like around the time that I left LA, which was September, was
Yep.
around the time you were talking about leaving LA, which I don't think is a coincidence, right? Like we're both on this journey of discovering our path and walking our path. And we've talked about it in detail on the podcast. Just following, taking those blind steps, right? Like the Indiana Jones walking off the cliff, right, and finding the invisible path. We've been doing that, and so we both kind of were called around the same time to leave LA. And you had stuff you had, obviously your stuff with your mom came up, and other things you had to wrap up. I pretty much had nowhere else to go, so accepted to come to Georgia. I've been here ever since. But like this just I hadn't talked to you in a couple of weeks because you've been dealing with stuff. I've been dealing with my own stuff, and that's why you hadn't had an episode. But like this is the parallels we're on right now, brother. Like right, like we're both forging forward on this path that we've been called to walk. And one of the requirements of the fool's journey is the leap, right? You take a leap out of your familiar environment, around the familiar people, around the people that you've probably been called, hey, this due date isn't right. There's something wrong about this person or this girl. These people don't vibe with you anymore. This environment doesn't vibe with you anymore. You need to go to this environment, right? And then you get offered the opportunity, like you said, you got the call. Oh, let's go to Vegas. Right after, boom, you lost your wheels,
Hmm.
and then boom, here comes the universe with, or God, or whoever you want, however you want to term it, with the opportunity, Vegas. And we've been talking about you going to Vegas for months now, so it's like it's just part of the of recognizing the patterns, the synchronicities,
Yeah.
the
Yes. The
the patterns in
opportunity.
the matrix, right? The things that have been offered to you is the change of environment. Which
Right.
you get into the spiritual stuff, and people that have been through it will all tell you the same kind of stuff, right? Is like your environment will change, the people around you are going to change. You're going to be called to leave your hometown. You're going to be. It's This is just the patterns. This is like part and parcel of what we've been called to do. Is like that's part of the tests of getting you out of your comfort zone and getting you in a place where you're open to receive, you're open to move into places that if you're in your comfort zone, you would be adverse to that change, right? But now that you're in Vegas, like you said, you had that synchronicity pop up with that group of people that you just
Yeah.
randomly meet, right? That's a synchronicity. That wouldn't
Yeah.
have been open to you if you had been in Los Angeles, right? So this is how it starts to operate. And that, like Alex was saying, we're going into this detail for you guys. That's what this podcast is for. We're going through the spiritual journey, and there isn't really a fucking handbook to this thing. Um, there really isn't.
Well
It's
said, brother. Well said. Well said.
faith. Faith is the handbook, and like you could owe the Bible. Like actually, no, the Bible is just it basically says the same thing. Have faith, right? Um,
Yeah.
it's like there
Blind.
is no straight like here's the rules. Here's the. It's just like you just learn to follow your intuition. You learn to
I
tap
like to
into
say,
your own inner guidance and follow it. So
I like to say that life's a game and we're still learning how to play, you know?
we're always learning, man. Bro, I so this is another thing. Like Alex, this is another thing about synchronicity in my own life, right? It's like um there's these tests that we're called to pass and these things and like one of the things I've been wrestling with over the longest time was my nicotine addiction, right? It started with cigarettes. I stopped smoking cigarettes back in October, and I switched to the vape. And then, Alex, his mother is going through stuff that was a result of nicotine addiction, right? And so he told me, brother, I love you. Please stop vaping, right? So there was
Yeah.
just somebody I love, obviously telling me, among other things, right? I get these different messages from, maybe a video will pop up on social media and it's talking about the spiritual journey and how you need to get rid of your addictions and your habits. And it's just this constant thing has been coming up. So I decided, I had this little lull in my activities of the things I've been trying to accomplish while I'm out here in Georgia. There's some halt to business. I'm having to wait on other people. So I'm in this holding pattern. And I was like, it's, I just get the intuition to stop the vape, right? Like I have nothing else to do right now other than, paint. I got this new painting right here, gray matter.
Which
My
rad, by the way.
media. It's pretty fucking dope. But yeah, after I finished this painting, it guys pretty wild and wacky. I There's this artist. He's abstract artist, Russian, named Wasily Kandinsky. Kandinsky is a very very famous um, abstract artist, and I love his work. I
That,
came across a bunch of his paintings.
That's the Fibonacci spiral, right?
Yeah, so my buddy asked me, "Oh, what does it mean?" I was like, "Bro, look at this thing." I was like, "It's my brain, right? Like, here's the brain right here. The Fibonacci spiral starts in the brain, creates the brain shape, right? Which is legit, like it's a real thing. The brain is shaped, and the Fibonacci spiral starts right here at the pineal gland, which is shooting out a beam of light, which is a theme in a lot of my paintings, is the pineal gland, the third eye shooting out a beam of light. It's in the other one over here too, Thy Kingdom Come that I've shown before. But yeah, so he's like, "What does it mean?" I was like, "It's my brain," and I started telling him all the symbolism. Like, here, this is the symbols for salt, sulfur, and mercury, which is the elements of the philosopher's stone in alchemy. And he's like, "I never heard of that shit before." I was like, "Yeah, no shit, dude." I was like, "Oh, here, uh, here's here's the
Footnote.
Metatron's cube with the dodecahedron, which is a symbol of the spirit of the ether, and it's surrounded by the Metatron's cube circles, which are in colors of the chakras." And I was like breaking down like the symbolism of it. He's like, "I've never heard any of that shit." I was like, "Yeah, that's my brain.
Right.
My brain is
You know what the funny thing is? And that's the part where you tell them a lot of people haven't heard of it, and that's the problem.
yeah."
So
It's
that's
kind of
really
like my
rad,
life
man.
at this point is like I've just my brain. I'm tapped into this divine intelligence that tells me these things and sends me on these journeys of creation. Right, like this one, Plato's ghosts. You see the little hologram that appears there, which is the
Yeah.
spirit.
You
and
know, I
we've
was gonna
got the
tell you,
five elements and
I was over at Nikki's and with DA. I ended up seeing him, and so shout out to the Nikki and DA crew, and I met a new character who also shout out to Charlie who introduced me to this coherence healing stuff. And did you see that 1.0 thing I sent you the link to? It was 1.0 like coherent 1.0.love. It was coherence healing, and
uh, I
I
think
forget the guy's
so.
name, but uh, but the class was really interesting. You know, I attended because she was kind enough to give me an invitation to participate in this coherence healing class. And it was right aligned with a lot of the stuff that we talk about, which was really wild because he takes a different approach to what we do. He does more like a scientific approach where like he'll say like, you know, I want you to you know, all fear and doubt from your medulla oblongata, cerebral cortex, L1, L2. Like he goes into like the like scientific names of like the different regions of the brain and like goes into like what you should tap into releasing and then he'll go into like tapping into like talking to people and where like like I saw his Zoom was like 400 people one time and they're all talking about like their problems. Like you talk about addictions, you know, things like that, things that like, you know, we we have vices, we have problems, we have issues. Like we're not perfect beings by any means, and like to say that we are is just it's just flat out lie. Like we strive to become better beings every day, but also at the same time is like I don't beat myself up because I fall short every day. You know what I'm saying? Like I fall short all the time, but I'm not going to beat myself up because I know how far I've come.
Yeah.
Now it's like, you know, but at the same time, it's
It
like,
comes in steps, right? Like like I was talking about with the being called to finally just give up the nicotine, right? Is like I've been on this step journey where it's like little by little I'm seeing more progress. Things are starting to come together. People are coming around me. I'm getting connected to people that can make these different things happen that I don't want to talk about because the ops are going to try to send me bad shit to disrupt it. But anyway, there's things going on in my life and your life, right? We don't talk about everything we're doing because we got people that are giving us evil eyes and trying to fucking disrupt us. But we're both on this step path. We're making gradual progress, but I feel like we do have these intuitions about things like for instance, the nicotine, right, is like something I've been called that I'm going to have to give this up eventually, right? And it just came calling where it was the time, right? I had nothing else to do. I'm waiting on some stuff to come through with these other projects I'm working on. And it was just like, it's time, right? It's like, what else am I going to do for the next week while I'm waiting for these things to fall into place? And if you look at it energetically, in order for these things to fall into place and for me to attract these things, it was probably time for me to give up the addiction, right? In order to level up to that next level I need to be at to attract the things that I'm working for, right? It's finally caught God's like, all right, buddy, now's the time. You're about to level up. You're about to have all these things come in. And it's time to let go of that attachment, right? It's Manly P. Hall. I fucking talk about him a lot, but like he's excellent. He talks about morbid attachments, right? It's one of the callings of the white path of the adept of the person who is spiritually inclined that's trying to walk this white path, the alchemist. It's You have to do away with morbid attachment. And what is more of a morbid attachment than a nicotine addiction? There aren't too many things more like difficult to detach from. So for my own in order to do this, right, it's not easy. Like it was literally the first 3 days were absolute hell. Um,
yeah,
but the way I did it was with these things in mind, like I'm talking about, is like I know that things are coming for me, right? I've been putting in this aligned action. I've been doing the work spiritually. I've been improving myself. I've been putting out this podcast to help others, right? I'm in my aligned mission work with you. We're doing these things, right, to try to improve the planet. It's what we're called to do on the spiritual journey. So I know that my time is coming, right? And so this is in mind, keeping this in mind, like I know that this is something I had to do. And in order to do it, I had examples of people that I've lost, right? I lost my dad and I lost my aunt who were both cigarette smokers. And it was a direct result. My aunt had lung cancer. My dad died of a heart attack. Right. So I had these two examples of, okay, these are two people I love that I lost because of this thing. So I had that. I had, I had what I just said. Like it's something that I need to do to level up. I had this other friend who was really the person that I smoked cigarettes with a lot. It was like we would take breaks from our training our students in wrestling, and we'd go have a cigarette. Well, this dude fucking stabbed me in the back before I left LA, right? So he's no longer my friend. So that's another negative thing, right? Is like the reminders. This person who was a reason why I got to the point I was with cigarettes. He was somebody I smoked cigarettes with. He's no longer in my life, and he's somebody I'm cutting out of my life permanently as another person. And then last but not least, this person that, um, not to get too deep in the twin flame stuff, but the person that catalyzed the event that catalyzed my real spiritual awakening was this person that I felt this connection with, right? And I feel like it's been in my energy ever since for 2 years now. It came up on 2 years. Valentine's Day was 2 years since I had this huge blow up with this person, and it catalyzed my Kundalini and all the things that came from it, right? Which are good things, right? I'm very grateful that I've been through this process because I've become the person I was always supposed to be. I'm making this awesome art, making this great podcast with somebody I love that I feel like I'm aligned with spiritually. We're on our fucking mission. I'm making fucking poetry and screenplays and I'm clicking on incredible cylinders creatively, right? So it brought me to the place I was supposed to be. But this person is somebody that's been in my energy that I need to get out, right? I need to get over this person, right? Like it's like something I've been holding on to in my heart that I feel it, and I feel like this addiction is just a symptom, right? This addiction is a symptom of this longing or this feeling about this person. It's just one of the things lingering in my life, in my energy that needs to go in order for the level up to happen. It's another thing I've been called about it psychologically, right? So all those four factors together, I tied them all together in my subconscious mind, along with the fact that I know that I need to do this to level up. So it's the five wounds of Christ, if you want to call that, but five things that I binded together in my energy field to get me through this, right? Anytime there's a trigger, anytime I feel like I want to get a puff, because I had one, I still have a vape here that I threw in the trash in my fucking room. It's in the trash over here right now. I could go there and puff it if I really wanted to. So there's been temptations, right? But to get me through those temptations, I had those five things that I bound together in my energy field, in my meditation. Like I put it all together, and that's what forged me through it. And I'm on day 6 now, and I'm over the hump. Like I still get little triggers, but like as far as the physical addiction, nicotine leaves your body in 3 days. So I don't have a physical like draw to it, right? It's not like, oh, that craving of I just need it. It's more just like, oh, I have a cup of coffee. It'd be nice to have a puff. That's the trigger that I'm having at this point. It's like I am completely over the physical part. I'm over the hump. And what got me through it was being able to bind those 5 energetic things together and know like this is God calling me to make this step, that I need to make this step in order to step through the threshold to get to where I need to be.
Yep.
Because all these things that we've been working on, man, we're on the cusp of it right now. And as far as the things creatively in my life, the things in your life, they're all starting to come together, right? And
You know
so
what's interesting?
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry to cut you off. I was gonna say, is people that have known me for a long time, they've always been trying to get me to like work out and do stuff like that. And like I've been out here in Vegas now for like, I don't know, like 5 days or six. I don't remember. I don't even know what today is. If every day feels like Friday out here in Vegas, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
But
it is Friday actually.
well, there you go. So, but pretty much out of like the 5 days I've been here, I went to the gym 2 days, and 2 days I walked over 5 miles. So one day I walked 7 miles, another day I walked 5 miles. So like I'm like active, I'm doing more stuff, and it feels really great, and at the same time it's like one of those things that I've been called to do forever, and I keep pushing it off, and now it's like I'm surrounded by people that are constantly working on themselves. So it's like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with you guys. And it sucked. I'm not even gonna lie, it hurt. I'm actually hurting. Like all this is like
Mhm.
I can't even really move right now. All of this hurts. And my legs, let's just say I've been putting in work, man, but also I've been getting kind of big. So, I'm taking accountability for myself, and there's no excuse, like, when you see it, when you acknowledge it, just go and do something about it. Just about 2 millimeters shift in your perspective, 2 millimeters shift in like your daily activities, and you can make a massive change in just a little bit of time.
It's
So
just grasping the motivation, right? Because we all want to change. Like we've detailed this in the past, right? Like there's that little voice in your head where you know what you got to do, right? Like you're getting those little intuitions, you're getting those little things, you push it off and you delay it and you procrastinate it. I've been doing it with the cigarettes, right? Where with the nicotine, I I I switched from cigs to vape to placate that urge to stop, right?
yeah,
All right, I switched to a vape. It's good enough for now, and I just kept putting it off. And I would get to the end of a vape, and I'd be like, all right, this is the last one, and then I would get another one, and all right, this is the last one, and then I would get another one. No, this is the last one, and then last week I got to a point in the day where I was puffing it, and it started just like feeling bad, right? Like it's like my body started rejecting it. And it was almost like my spirit was rejecting it, right? So it was just I felt the
uh,
call, like now is the time,
it was
dude.
time.
Do
It
it.
was time.
Just fucking do it. It's gonna. I'd quit cigarettes before, and the first 3 days are awful, but after that, it kind of tapers off, and you get to a point where you're like, all right, this is manageable, right? I would eventually fall back into it, but that was because I would have, oh, my buddy's having a cigarette. I've been good about it. I haven't had a cigarette in a week and a half. I'll have this one cigarette, and then boom, right up back right in it. So that's where I was going back to those five things, those five factors I put together. The fist that I used to punch this fucking habit out was knowing my triggers and then knowing my motivations. Right, like I had two people that are gone, my dad and my aunt, because of this. Right, and it's just it's not easy, guys, but like it comes a point where you either level up or you stay the same. And whether it be Alex with like working out, fuck yeah, bro, that's awesome. Like but this is because we're getting called to level up, bro. Like this is where God's at with us, right? Is that we're getting called to level up. We're getting tested with situations, with people. We don't have to go into depth about the stuff that we and we talked about with people around us, right? That are testing us with bullshit, with their own fucking shadowy bullshit, trying to bring
Yeah.
it into our lives and degrade our situations with their fucking shadowy bullshit. And are we going to
All I
stand?
can say, go, please finish. Please finish this thought.
No, like, are we going to stand for it, or are we going to stand up and be like, no, this isn't happening. You're not bringing your shadowy bullshit here. Fucking Drake, Heisman, right? Heisman, no, that's the test. Passing the tests, right? God's going to give you tests to level up. Heisman, no. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not letting you do that to me. And then
It's
it just snowballs, right? It's like
it's funny.
we're getting ready to break through in a huge way. And that's, to me, like, after talking to you and the stuff you're going through and the stuff that I'm seeing in my own life, it to me, that's what it's indicating to me, is like we're both getting ready to break through, and this is just us being called with these tests and with these different things. It's time, right? It's just
Yeah.
time. It's time to
What I
go.
can
We're
what I can
ready.
say to that is that, in the Heisman thing, which is the whole protecting your energy stuff, like, yes, like, you know, um in fact, like, I do want to touch upon, I will be how should I say it? I will be discreet about, personalities involved, but and it's getting kind of dark out here. Let me
Disappeared. Oh, where'd he
yeah, let me disappear, right? It's getting kind of
go?
dark, and then I'm actually outside because and the story's gonna get really good. How are we on time, by the way?
We got 7 minutes left, so we can kind of wrap it up. But this is we're both on this healing journey, right? We're healing into the
Yeah,
best version of ourselves, which is kind of what we can make the theme of this episode, is healing, right? We're healing.
yeah.
We're becoming a greater version of ourselves. I'm healing this pattern of addiction out of my life. You're healing from a traumatic experience with your mother, and just healing the patterns in your life. This is what we're called to do. This is part of alchemy. Alchemy is healing. Alchemy is healing ourselves so that we can heal others. We're put in these situations in our lives. We're put through difficulties and hardships and tests constantly from the divine, because what we're called to do is to help others through it. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you guys. So, just to
Yeah,
sum up this first part, like, we're healing too. We're going through our own shit, but we're here to help you as well, because we've been put through enough stuff at this point, and we're jumping through these hoops and challenges left and right, and we can recognize when we're being called to heal, when we're being called to move forward and level up, and we have the ability to help others now. This is what we're being called to do. So, guys, please, if you guys going through shit, I talked a little bit about last episode. I had somebody I know took their own life, right? Because it just became too much for them. They succumbed to their mental health issues, and I don't want that for anybody, because life is a gift. It's a beautiful gift, and challenges come to forge us into bigger people, to better people, for bigger challenges and bigger things, to evolve us. Right? This is a journey of evolution. We are on a journey of evolution. We need to evolve. Like, what doesn't change dies. That's the inevitability of life. Is like, change is inevitable, and we have to roll with the punches and roll with the changes, and be willing to make the changes that we're being called to make. We know what we have to do, and it's just about getting past the procrastination and fucking doing it. Just do it, man, and we can help you. So, like, we're here for you guys. Like, share, subscribe, look in the and there's ways to contact us down in the description. If you guys need help, if you need advice, we are here for you. Comment on this stuff. We will get in touch with you. We promise. We're not a
yeah,
very big podcast, right? We've got a few dozen subscribers. We have the faculties and the time at this point to help you
uh,
guys. This is what we're here to do. So help us grow this thing. And if you need help, we're here for you. I think that's good for this first part. We'll get on to part two in this episode of healing. All right.
I love it.
In
We
part
love
two.
you. We'll be back.
We love
And if
you.
you want to hear what kind of fuck shit happened, stay tuned because I'm gonna tell you all the tea.
Spilling the tea.
Let me ask you, did you get a chance to mine for Bitcoin like me and regret not doing it today? Yeah, that was me. I had a chance to mine Bitcoin, but I didn't do it. How about Ethereum? Did you have a chance to mine for Ethereum and didn't do that? Regret it today, like me? Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Have you heard of X1, Zenium, XNM, the new ecosystem that's about to go live using the Solana virtual machine? No? Remember of a time when you didn't hear about Bitcoin either, but here we are today and Bitcoin is over $100,000? Well, here I am telling you today about Zenium, XNM, X1, which is about to go live. And if you don't know how to mine for it, it's okay, because I figured it out. So just go to the website, plank.fyi, planck.fyi, and get some credits, and I will mine it for you and send it to your wallet address. No biggie. All right, so don't just sit there on the sidelines like you did the last 2 times or 3 times. Get on that computer, go get some credits, and I'll take care of it for you. Okay, guys? Don't forget, X1 is the future. Bitcoin was. You'd think that Bitcoin is the future, but it's not. Bitcoin was something that led us to what comes after that. It's not Ethereum. It's not Solana. Just watch. Remember I told you, okay? See you.
And we are back for part 2. It's actually episode 4. I said episode 3.
Oh, really?
Part 1. This is actually episode 4 of season 2.
That's
And we're
awesome.
talking about healing into the best versions of ourselves and the different stuff that Alex and I have currently been experiencing in our own lives. And I actually have a really good quote that deals with some of the stuff we were talking about in part 1, where people, when you're on this healing path, when you're becoming the best versions of yourself, you're going to get tested with other people's energy, right? With other people's demons or shadows, whatever you want to characterize them as, to test your own healing, to test your own worth, to see if you're learning the lessons of boundaries and different things to make you into the better version of yourself. Are you going to accept the type of behaviors you accepted before? And this is dealing with your own demons and the demons of others. This is from Nevin Parr. It says, as I have described in the Magus, if you want to develop true personal power, you have to be familiar with your demons so you can use their energies productively when the situation requires it. For example, when someone is trying to manipulate you, you will recognize their intention instead of being blind to it, and can exact an equal and opposite reaction to neutralize the law of karma. When I speak of demons, I refer to the negative, fear energy that is not of the light per se, but can further the light's agenda. Although what I am saying may sound counterintuitive, since many of you were taught that demonic energies are bad, it is not. Negative energy is not something you should run from, but should seek to tame within you. Through the application of free will, you can readily use negative energy to obtain a positive outcome. Doing so gives your demons wings, metaphorically speaking. Being familiar with your demonic energies allows you to realize when you are energetically attacked by others, weigh the type of attack, and mobilize your inner forces to get on the offense. Remember, we must punish all evil. Otherwise, we become evil's accomplices. The law of karma requires us to be vigilant and strong when faced with any adversarial energy and exact severity when it is required of us. In doing so, we subtly teach others to behave correctly, per the universal laws. We each have a sacred duty we owe to our Creator to treat each other with love and respect and protect one another from all evil. It's an excerpt from Serpent Rising, the Kundalini Compendium by Nevin Parr.
I think that's absolutely fantastic. I think that's a perfect way to describe exactly how I ended up in Vegas.
Yeah, it actually goes on in the comments. I could actually continue it,
Oh,
if
please
you
do.
will. If
Yeah,
we
go
run
for it.
away from negative energies, we fail to build our personal power, which takes away our God given abilities over time. Every time we don't punish evil out of a fear of confrontation, that fear gets magnified within us, severing us more and more from the light in our souls. And since the law of karma is cyclic, we continue to face the same challenges time and again until we get it right. The eye for an eye law of Moses from the Torah contains the underlying principle that punishment must fit the crime. It is in line with Newton's third law of cause and effect, based on the much earlier Hermetic cause and effect law. For every action in nature, there is an equal and opposite reaction. Cause and effect is the foundation of the law of karma, and it essentially implies that what you put out into the universe, you will get back. You reap what you
Mhm.
sow, as the saying goes. If you do
Right.
bad things will happen to you. While if you do good things, then good things will happen to you. From a
Right.
human relations perspective, if you are positive and loving to other people, you will get that back from them. While if you are selfish and either evil, others will return the favor. We are all inherently tasked with expressing the law of cause and effect and being the effect of other people's causes. A similar maxim with the same underlying energy came from Jesus, who said, "You live by the sword, you die by the sword," meaning
Right.
that the quality of your life and choices you make will determine your life course. On an even deeper level, Jesus is saying implies that you attract a kind of life that corresponds with the quality of your heart. If you exhibit courage, strength, and fortitude, you can live up to your potential as a spiritual human being. Whereas if you live in fear, you will never be satisfied with your life's quality and will continuously make excuses and feel victimized. And the most optimal way to curb fear energy is to face it instead of running away from it. Therefore, we need to become responsible co creators with our Creator and integrate both angelic and demonic powers within us and master them.
Damn, that's some powerful
Woo!
shit.
That was a long one, but man, is that does that embody the alchemist path to a T? A
Yeah.
lot of us we're afraid of our demons. We're afraid of our shadows. We don't face them. We stuff them away. We run away from them in fear. We run from our demons. We don't assimilate the shadow. We don't integrate the shadow. We run from it. And this is in our ideologies in Christianity, right? We like to not acknowledge these things within us. We just get on our knees and pray, Jesus, forgive me, a horrible sinner, and we never acknowledge our shadow. We never integrate it. We never deal with it. And then we don't deal with it in other people either. We allow ourselves to be victimized. We allow ourselves to be treated certain
Right.
ways, and these patterns
Yep.
perpetuate. And then it builds to a point where eventually we may lash out or in a bad way because
Right.
enough is enough, right? And it's like, what this quote is trying to tell us is when we deal with our own negative energies, our own demons, we acknowledge our shadow, we acknowledge the demons within us, and we utilize these negative energies for a positive outcome. We start to integrate that into our relationship with others, where we can call other people on their bullshit and be like, no, 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 you're not treating me like that. You're not bringing your bullshit into my situation. You're not going to treat me this certain way. I have value as a human. I know my worth, and I'm not going to allow you to treat me that way. And when you nip these situations in the bud, maybe you lose some friends. Maybe you create some uncomfortable situations, but you're standing in your own power and ultimately utilizing the negative energy for the positive outcome is what healing is all about. It's healing those negative patterns, the tendency to keep and to continuously wounding ourselves. And it goes to the addictions as well, like addictive behaviors like smoking cigarettes, using it as a crutch to get you through situations. You keep bleeding on yourself over and over with perpetuating behavior that is harmful to yourself. And that is a lack of self love. So, healing, which is the theme of this episode, is about acknowledging that negative demonic energy and transmuting it into positive. Um, I
Right.
hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's interesting because like um out of respect for my relationship with the people uh who were responsible for getting me here and at the same time like I'm here on my own accord. In other words, I'm here in Vegas on my own accord. I decided to stay. Um, although to some degree, the people that brought me here in their mind is, I guess they could say that maybe they left me here. I don't know. But the point is, you know, um, in life you're not gonna see eye to eye with people. And I think that what that quote allowed for me to understand is that like I don't have to be agreeable just because I don't want confrontation. Being agreeable would have meant that I was okay with their behavior when I wasn't. And in some situations, especially when you're in a business setting and when things are inappropriate, like then um there's really nothing to talk about. Like it is what it is, and I don't need to get upset about stuff. Like getting upset means I haven't learned my lesson, right? Because me learning my lesson is just knowing, you know what? I just know next time I can't have this person there.
Hmm.
And whoever is around me knows, like, first of all, I do a really good job of screening my people when I bring them into my circle. And what I mean by that is like I don't accept certain types of behavior, and the moment that it gets out of control, I'm really quick to make sure I cut that off because I don't allow people's personal shit to affect my business because I've worked really freaking hard to get here, and I can't allow it. So the moment that things get, taken out of context or out of proportion, and I see that there's, I want to say substances, but it's not, it's just alcohol, and things get taken out of context, like those are red flags for me, and I have to separate business and pleasure at that point. Like, yeah, you're a really great person to hang out with, but clearly I can't do business with you, or I can't take it any further than that. Even as much as I want to, I could tell, they're a very intelligent person capable of doing a lot of stuff, but until they learn self-discipline and, self-love
And
and learn,
accountability as well, man. Like, like just something, a lot of people have a huge problem with accountability. And,
yeah,
I had a similar situation in my own life. And, our tendencies would be to look at how we reacted to these situations and self-analyze, like how could I have done better, or did I create this situation, or maybe I shouldn't have approached it that way to create the conflict, or to create a situation where this person is now at a distance. But that's part of the test, right? Is like, no, it's realizing, oh, wait, actually I did pass the test because I didn't allow myself to be treated in a certain way, right?
exactly.
And it's about getting to the part of healing is getting to the point where we aren't hard on ourselves when we shouldn't be, right? Like obviously we should always self-reflect and have our own accountability, right? But it's also recognizing in others when they're falling short, right?
Right.
Like I had a situation where I wasn't treated up to my standard of treatment, right? I felt like I was manipulated and used to achieve a certain thing in this situation that I'm dealing with. I wasn't valued, and the person that put me in that situation wasn't accountable for their actions. So I brought them to the table and I called them out for it in front of a group, right? You're not on a group call. I called them out for their bullshit. Look, you did this. I don't appreciate it. We're in a business partnership where accountability and respect is important to me. And I felt disrespected, and you're not being accountable for your actions that put me in a position where I had to do things that I didn't want to do because of your actions, because
Right.
you did this.
Exactly.
I was
Exactly.
put in a position where I was manipulated into doing work that I shouldn't have had to do. Right. And that's just a paraphrase of the situation without getting too far in detail.
Yeah.
But it was like I was calling my
Gentlemen.
own value out. Like, you can't
Yeah.
treat me like this. You can't treat me with disrespect. You can't manipulate me into doing work that I shouldn't have had to do and then not take accountability for it.
To your point, it's funny you say that because this person also managed to get a bunch of contracts out of me that I put together. I did some research, worked on some contracts, some agreements, all that stuff. Like all that stuff costs money. You go to some place and you ask them to draw up agreements, bro, they're gonna charge you money. Like they got my time free and clear. It's cool, I still have love for them, but like at the same time, I have to be wise where I invest my time. And I gave many chances, many chances. You know what's funny, bro? Dude, dude. So, I'm tapped into the whole like spiritual stuff, and I'm very much like I'm on intuition, right? So if I get the vibe and I get the good vibes, I'm gone. That's it. I
Yeah.
go and then whatever. So the reason I say this is because I tap into my YouTube feed and I'm tapped into all these different oracles and readers and healers and stuff. And so I checked out one of my normal readers, and she did a collective reading on my zodiac. And bro, it was like to the T, like everything that was going on, talking about relocating and how it was like how I got here was all part of the design. It was just really weird, dude, because it was like, whoa, how did they know it just happened? And and let's just say this, dude, like I have every reason to believe that my being where I'm at right now is not by coincidence. I don't believe in that.
No.
Anyone that knows me knows I don't believe in coincidences. So wherever I end up at, I know that there's a mission to accomplish there. There's work to do. There's people here to talk to. I'm ever grateful for my good friend Sip here, who's, he's ran off to the other room because we were talking about some real shit. And he probably wasn't ready for it, but it's cool. I have great love for him. Very I hope you get to meet him sometime soon. Really cool cat, and Las Vegas, it's interesting. People out here. Shout out to Anthony and Stuart, who I'm gonna send the link to, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you guys. Maybe mining some X1, talking about doing some business. These guys are in the life insurance and insurance game. We're talking about doing some really cool stuff, and like these people, they're not party people. We're in Vegas, and you'd think, oh, it's party time, and us. It's like they're not. Like these people are out here
Like,
doing.
dude, a lot of people, I know a lot of people in Vegas that live there, and most Vegas people stay the fuck away from the strip. Like, they might party here and there, but it's not like you can't live that way, right? When you go to Vegas, when I go to Vegas for like a party trip, right? By day 3 or 4, I'm fucking done. Like, I am fucking done. I want to get the fuck out of town. I've probably lost a lot of money. I spent, I've gotten drunk or whatever every night, and I'm fucking done. And like, when you're living there, you can't live like that. You will die. So
Yeah.
like, yeah, a lot of people in
I like
Vegas are like super chill. They have their fucking spots. They have their local spots that they go to, but they stay the fuck away from the strip, and they just live a normal life. Like,
Yeah, I think if you want to be successful living in a place like Vegas, you have to have done a shit ton of inner work and really like, done the healing because
you gotta have
there is,
discipline and boundaries on yourself.
yeah, exactly, exactly. And so I think that for me, in a way, I think that coming to Vegas is like the ultimate test because like it's everything is there. And it's funny because at some point, like I at some point when I was doing all this stuff, my first investment came while I was in Vegas, okay, for the project that I'm working on. Shout out to Papa Zender. My first investment came from when I was in Vegas. It was shortly after PulseCon, a crypto conference. And, the interesting thing was that it began here in Vegas for me. And Vegas is, for me, the belly of the beast. It's Sin City. This is where it all happens. This is where, you know, anything goes. And to think that out of this place where, it's known as, I guess, like this all the evil that happens here, I guess you can say, to think that we can come here and create a system that will, I don't want to say tame it, but in a way like help people separate the two. Separate the two meaning figure out the balance between, yes, being able to know how to live a normal, healthy life, and then still being able to indulge in the shadow in the integrated shadow, but walking the path of light, right? Because at the end of the day, like we're all light beings, we're not shadow beings, some are, like some people have completely like lost their light, but what I mean by that is, we have the ability to reclaim our inner light. And so we have all this stuff around us. There, the shadow is going to exist no matter what on this realm. We just have to know that we have to coexist with it. We don't have to live neck deep in it. We don't have to live in the underworld. We don't have to live. It's not, we weren't made to do that,
No,
but we
and
can.
I kind of wanted to get onto the astrology thing. You're talking about your the reading, the healers, and the doing having the tarot reader read your astrology, and this kind of correlates with something I wanted to talk about because my buddy, I came across, I think it was a video you sent me, right? It was about the sigils with the tree of life. Was that a video you sent me?
Yeah, yeah, that was the
The
decoding one.
decoding, yeah.
Yeah, that was a really powerful video.
Yeah, and like, for instance, like this painting, right? It's got a lot of um symbolism, right? I was talking about the down here. It's the symbol. for sulfur, salt, and mercury, right? I combined them all together, all three symbols. They're all alchemical symbols. I put them all together into one in this red circle. We're talking about Libido a couple of episodes ago, the final stage of alchemy, right? Where the philosopher's stone. The philosopher's stone is made up of those three elements, right? There are those three substances. And so this is another thing. We've got the zodiac signs here. We got the sigil of Saint Michael here, the sigil of the Archangel Michael right here. So there's a lot of symbolism in my piece.
And Metatron's cube.
And the Metatron's cube, that's another. So there's all these symbols, and one of the things I was talking to my buddy about, because he was, like I said, he asked what it means, and like, oh, it's my brain. And I start breaking all these things down, and he's like, yeah, that's on another level. I don't even know half the stuff you're talking about. And we had this. We have a friend, well, not really a friend, but somebody we knew from wrestling who was a Freemason, right? And he said, "Oh yeah, this guy Nico showed me all these symbols one time." And he's like, "I don't know what they mean." And I was like, "Honestly, dude, like when you really break it down, what it really all this stuff is, these mystical symbols, the alchemical symbols, the sigils, the Freemasonry stuff, what it is it's astrology. It's how it correlates as above, so below, right? That's the alchemical, the hermetic law, as above, so below. It's this stuff like in this painting here, right? And I'll pull it off the wall. That kingdom come, right? It's got the tree of life here, right? And also, if you look at my board game, Kundalini, I'm breaking down the secrets for you guys right now. Kundalini, the tree of life with the Kundalini chakras. Um, all of it. It is astrology, quantum physics. It's hermeticism, alchemy, magic, all this stuff. It's the symbolism. It's talking about the correlation between astrology and the body, the heavenly bodies and the earthly body and the spiritual body. It's all together. It's all encompassing, right?
Right.
All these disciplines, like back in like Plato's era, right? Plato used to have his Theosophical Society. I'm not sure. I think that's what it was called. The Plato Society of his fucking people, right? The people that he was teaching and his peers, they would all meet together, and then they would talk. They would discuss mathematics, theology, physics, like all these things together, right? And the ancient temples, right? The ancient temples weren't just about religion. They weren't just theology. They were science and medicine and mathematics. It was all encompassing. It was all together, right? And somewhere along the way, all this knowledge got fractured and split up, but it all comes together. And when you look at quantum physics, and the things that quantum physics is revealing about the atom and the relationship of things at a particle level, at the quantum level, like it all correlates with these ancient mystical teachings. It's all encompassing, it's all inclusive. And these fucking symbols are all pointing to the same stuff. All these symbols and these the stories from the Bible, right? The mystical like this guy Bill Donahue, right? Look up Bill Donahue on TikTok or on Instagram. He puts out this stuff where he's breaking down the mystic symbolism in the Bible, right? It really literally opens up the scriptures to a whole new level of interpretation. And a lot of theological, like by the book Christians will call it, oh no, that's evil. Like, no, that's what it's really talking about. It's talking about astrology, right? There's astrology up and down the scriptures in the Bible, up and down. So much of the like symbolism of Revelations, the seven seals is the seven chakras, right? It's talking about all the different four beasts, right? The lion, the lamb, These are all the lion is Leo, the lamb is Aries, the man is Aquarius, the man with the pitcher of water. That's a prophecy of Christ. He's talking about the time right now, the age of Aquarius, the coming age of Aquarius. Right, his age was the age of Pisces, which is the fish. Right, all this symbolism is fucking heavy in scriptures and it heavy in these ancient texts, and it's all mystic symbolism, and it's talking about the correlation of the cosmos, the astrology of the zodiac, right? Zodiac, right? 12 houses, the 12 disciples. Like, stuff is deep, guys. It goes deep, but it's legit. Like, literally, look into this stuff. Manly P. Hall, The Secret Teachings of All Ages, ties a lot of stuff together. This is ancient knowledge. This is the knowledge that's been lost. You look at some of these ancient structures like the pyramids that are incredible, that they should not have been able to do it. They had knowledge we lost, that's been lost, and that's very evident when you study these ancient cultures. You study their traditions. You study what they believed. You
One
look
can
at their
hidden,
structures.
one can argue it was either hidden or lost, but please continue.
It's like it's very obvious that the ancients were connected to this place in a way that we are no longer connected to it. Even if you look at the indigenous cultures like the Native American culture, right? The Native American culture is fucking fascinating, man. I love it. The more you look into it, you see the mystic traditions in the Native American cultures that are also in these Eastern cultures, right? Like the, God put these secrets into all these different places, right? And it's been concealed, like in the Kabbalah, right? The Jewish mystic tradition. A lot of the Jewish scriptures, the Torah, is a lot of allegory, and there's a lot of symbolism and numbers and geometry. That's where the sigils come in. There's magic. It's real, and it's been swept under the rug and called evil and called sorcery, and under this heading of sorcery. Whereas, like, we've talked about the Black Lodge and the White Path, and like when you get into the occult, there is a dark path. Absolutely, there's a dark path, but there's also a lot of hidden knowledge in the occult that's been demonized and kept from you because it unlocks something within your body that was meant to be unlocked. And these mystic traditions and these interpretations of scripture that have been lost to history, that are allegorical, that are pointing to a lot of this astrology and a lot of this symbolism and a lot of these teachings
You know
about
what?
ourselves. It's our
I do
body.
I do want to get into one thing, and you don't have to go into great depths, but I thought there was something that was worth mentioning. And that was and forgive me in advance if you didn't want to talk about it, but just I just want to talk about one reference to your game with that one company that said that they wanted something more mundane. you
Mm-hmm.
know. Our guy B here, he's trying to he's trying to sell his game to these big companies, and one of these companies said that they wish they can get that they wanted something more mundane.
Yeah,
And I
I'm
told him,
um, I'm in the process of without giving away too much because I don't need you fucking evil eye fucker trying to
no,
bring my
I
path
just
down.
really
But
wanted,
no,
I
no,
really
no.
wanted to
Like
get,
no, this is legit. Like I am this game or in episodes, right? This game was gifted to me by the divine. This is not something that I just one day said, you know what? I'm gonna make a board game. No, I was making this painting with all this different mystical symbolism in it. And I looked at it and I said, man, that kind of looks like a board game as I'm creating it. I didn't set out to make a board game. It just happened, right? And then once I acknowledged, holy shit, that looks like a board game, boom, all this inspiration came. And I now I'm at the point where I have a fucking Jumanji looking prototype here, and I've gotten it to the point rules wise where I feel comfortable like trying to shop it around. And I've gotten a list of brokers and I've reached out to them. And, so I'm at a certain stage with it where it's going somewhere. I know that this game is going to be a thing. Like, you don't just get gifted an idea like that and have it not be for a reason. But like you were saying, like one of the brokers was like, we're not really interested in representing this game. We're looking for more mundane ideas, which, this is a very sophisticated, mystical concept, right? It's tying together a lot of not mundane things. Mundane is like the everyday type.
Exactly.
It's like the low vibe type of shallow surface level type of stuff that this company was dealing with, and that's their thing. They're more for children, right? This is not a children's thing. This is not for children. This is a
No.
very high level spiritual concept. This game, and a lot of companies are going to be averse to it, but like
And
if
the reason I brought that up, the reason I brought that up more than anything is because that game is a representation of the conversations that you and I have, B, and the conversations that you and I have are not mundane by any means.
no.
And so for those of you that are tuned into the podcast, please like, comment, please like and subscribe, and feel free to drop some comments below, like my guy B was saying here earlier. Um, we talk about these topics at depth because, you know, um, the reason why these people want something more mundane is because they don't want you to get this information. They do not want you to activate that inner spark inside of you. Because the moment you do that, you are aware of their constructs in their matrix, and they have less and less power over you as time goes on. So all the
No,
stuff that we're
literally,
talking
they have
about,
no power over you. Once you awaken to the
well,
power within yourself.
it doesn't happen overnight. Like it
No,
happens a little bit because the layers have to get peeled back until the point where they don't have any power. But for those that are the sleepies, we call them the sleepies, the ones that aren't fully aware yet, like they are still like subjects of the matrix. So until they become fully awakened, please continue. But yeah.
no, it's just a testament to where we're at in the world right now. Is like um, there is there is a force that doesn't want this to happen, and but the fact that this game just got gifted to me, and then there's it just the way it's all come together synchronistically from there is a testament to me of like my own inner work, right? And that this is the time for this game to happen. It's the time for this type of knowledge to become um, more common, and because we're coming out of this time where people are rejecting the mundane. The
Yeah.
mundane has only serve to degrade us. And I think a lot of people are looking out of the mundane. And we were talking about this before we started the episode of like, a lot of people are rejecting this party culture and then this low vibe, shallow type of
Right.
lifestyle that doesn't bring fulfillment. It brings like this constant search of like of and this never ending pleasure hole that we're trying to fill. We talked about that last episode, this pleasure and knowledge hole that we're trying to fill, pleasure, 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 and it never fulfills us. And people have kind of awakened to this fact, and that's part of the healing journey that we're all on is realizing that we were sold this false bill of goods of like by the devil or the shadow or the evil or whoever you want to characterize it, that somehow that these things would fulfill us, and they will not. And
Yeah.
it's just part of our
Yeah.
process. We're about to run out of time. We're going to part 3, but this is part of the healing journey, you guys, is recognizing our own
Yeah.
power and how to come into that power. So we'll leave it at that for now. We'll get
some good stuff.
All right, we're back. We're having a great in between
Woo!
talk, and we're
That's
like, "Are
right.
we recording this? No, we're not recording it. Oh, we probably should." All right, so before we on the last part, we're talking about a lot of this mystic symbolism, a lot of these the sacred knowledge, this hidden knowledge, and the symbolism and this and that, and what it is just astrology and how it correlates with your body. Like a lot of the mysticism, right? There's these sacred texts. The Bible is all fucking full of astrology, and it's hinting at the relationship your body has with the cosmos. And this is why astrology. A lot of people say it's woo woo. It's like the pseudoscience. It's not real. It's this and that. But I was talking to Alex, like if I have this website where you do like a full astrology chart reading on yourself. You put in your date of birth, you put in your gender, your where you were born, what time you were born. It literally spits out your entire astrology chart and goes in depth. It's like a novel, right? And like if I when I read mine, it's very very close to me. And it's like, well, how is that possible? Well, it's because of the cosmic energies, right? With these planetary bodies have a correlation at the time when the time you're born, you have a moon sign and a sun sign and a this sign and a that sign, and it's where these bodies are stationed in the world is when you come into being, when you are born, right? There's a imprint on you, and that's why a lot of these astrological symbols, the astrological signs, they're patterns, right? They're patterns in the matrix because it is the design of the cosmos, is the design of the creator. All these numbers, the 12 houses, right? The 12 disciples. There's all these different numbers and symbols, and it correlates. Get into sacred geometry. I'm telling you, start doing sacred geometry, and literally this stuff will start to come to you because you're tapping into the knowledge of the creator. You're tapping into the energy of the cosmos when you start making these things. This stuff, I didn't just create these symbols. It didn't just come like, oh, I'm the create. No, these symbols are ancient. Like this stuff that's coming through my artwork is ancient symbolism, and it's ancient knowledge of mathematics, and like I said in the last part, like quantum physics, sacred
Mhm.
geometry, um,
Gematria.
gematria, astrology, um, the cymatics. You look into cymatics and sound, the frequencies of light and sound. Look into Tesla and what he said about the 369, the numbers. I posted, if you guys are following me on Instagram, I posted this video about number patterns, right? And what the 369 and why it's significant. Um, if there's a lot of like, it's not really that hard to understand, right? It's just hidden. It's a cult. It's hidden. It's magic. It's
It,
scary.
it's actually not. It's just not
No,
talked about, which is
it,
why it's hidden.
it's really not that hard to unlock it, right? And I was having I love talking to you, bro, because like I feel like I'm an island most of the time because most people don't understand what the fuck I'm talking about. Most people, I'm isolated and away from home, and even if I was at home, the people I was associating with, this stuff is all like fucking Chinese to them, right? Like the things that I'm into are so advanced occult wise that a lot of people don't know what I'm talking about. I know that you do, um, so it's refreshing to have conversations with you and to talk to you. But I was having this meditation and I talk to God, right? And I bring these things to him. Like I feel like alone and isolated, and I feel like I'm living on an island. Like I feel like nobody understands. And I got this intuition. It was like there it is not meant for them to understand. It is meant for them to see, right? Like I have to do the things that I'm doing, put out this type of information,
Yeah.
and the people that are meant to understand will, but most people are not meant to understand the things that I'm talking about. They're not meant to understand me. They're not meant to understand my art. They're not meant to understand the wisdom and the knowledge that I'm putting out there. They're just meant to see it, right? Because of what the next stage is. And we've talked about this, like where we're going up.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're getting ready to get onto this main stage, and in this consciousness shift, we're being set up for a certain path. And before we get there, this is the preparation stage. And the things I'm putting out there right now, a lot of people aren't meant to understand me. They're meant to look at me like, oh, look at this crazy fucker, and not really know that I am tapped into deep mystical knowledge of that's ancient and sacred and of from the creator. It is divine knowledge. But because people have been conditioned and stuck in these low vibe places, this shallow existence that humanity has been conditioned with for eons now, in this age of Pisces, like they don't understand it, and it's not that hard to understand. Like my buddy's like, I don't even know half the stuff you're talking. It's really not that complicated. Some of the stuff that's in this, I mean, it looks like fucking Chinese or another language,
You know,
but like
at some point it was difficult though. At some point it was like it was foreign to you. And it's like milk and honey, right? The land of milk and honey. It's That's what it comes back to. Because you can't give a newborn beef, right? That beefy stuff, they're gonna like it's too dense for them. They need milk and honey. They're still children, they're still babies, they're still spiritual babies. And spiritual babies need milk and honey, bro. And they have to
funny
ease
that you
into
say milk and honey because that's the symbolism in this piece of the I call the pineal gland the gland of milk and honey because that's the symbolism in the scriptures. And when it's talking about the land of milk and honey, it's talking about the pineal gland because it's secretes DMT and serotonin, which is golden milky, in the substances that are secreted from the pineal gland when it awakens. It is the gland of milk and honey. It is the symbolic land of milk and honey. It is where Jacob saw God at the place pineal, saw God face to face, and his life was spared. That's from Genesis. This is part of the mystic symbolism that is in these scriptures. And so it's funny that you bring up milk and honey, but this is also the symbolism of becoming like a child again, right? As you go back, you're going back to the basics, and milk and honey is the basics, right? It's like the building blocks. This is the like honey and milk are the perfect foods, right? So that it makes sense that the symbolism of the spiritual food is milk and honey. Um, but I digress. But you're right. Like at some point, I mean, it is. You look at this thing that I created, and it looks like it's full of some weird foreign language, but it's like when you delve into the symbols and you start and really like understand what the ancients were saying in these scriptures and saying with their art and saying with their symbols, it makes sense. It's not that hard to understand. It's really not that hard to break through. It's just it takes a willingness. Like we were talking about earlier about procrastination with the what we need to do, right? You know what you need to do. You need to get over these patterns. You need to stop these addictions. Like but you know what you need to do, but it's like it's the procrastination. It's the I don't really want to put in that work, right? And it's the willingness to do the work. If you're willing to do the work, you will be able to understand everything I put into this painting. It's really not that hard.
absolutely.
It's just
And that
takes a
being
certain willingness to learn, and it's hard to teach an old dog new tricks, and that's what we've kind
well,
of been tasked with.
and that being said, though, I do want to say, um, we thank all of you who have been here from day one, and those of you who just tuned in today. Like, this is what we're about. This is what we're doing. I'll go back to like, subscribe, comment. Let us know how you feel about stuff. Let us know if you're going through stuff, and just tap in because you know what? We're not going to get it right on the first time. We're not going to get it right on the fourth time. We're not going to get it right on the 100th time. It's every day is an opportunity to evolve into a better version of yourself. You didn't know you you didn't know yesterday what you know today, and tomorrow you will know more than you know today. So Give yourself grace, be kind to your neighbor, love yourselves and each other. Um, and I think I'm gonna close it up with that. I don't know what more to say at this point, and I don't want to leave my peeps hanging here. So um, I'm thinking like, how do you feel? You're okay?
Yeah, I'm good. No, I think it's a good place to end. We're trying to heal, man. It's and we don't have all the answers, right? Like we do have a certain level of understanding. We have been through a lot, and we've passed a certain amount of tests and been initiated into a certain degree of knowledge and understanding. But as we were talking about in part one, we still have things we're working on. I still, I'm dealing with this nicotine addiction that I'm trying to overcome. Um, Alex wants to get more into working out, right? And getting and loving himself enough to get into better shape. There's a lot of things that we're still called to do. We aren't, there's no, this goes back to the last episode. I was talking about finding the fulfillment in the moments, right? Finding fulfillment in the moment and where you're at now. And once you accept yourself as you are, then you have the room to change, right? And know and acknowledge where you're going. But it comes from the acknowledgement of the moment and acknowledging yourself and where you're at and being happy with yourself. And then you can still improve upon that. Like, okay, I love myself this much, but if I do this much, if I do this, if I do more, then it's just a progression. It's an understanding this is a progression and the journey is the destination. And
That's right.
just being willing to put in the work on yourself and loving yourself enough to do it. But it's not about attaining this thing that, oh, it's just outside my grasp. It's being content with yourself now. And once you accept yourself in the moment and you move from the moment, then you're going to find yourself wanting to improve. No, I want to do this. I want to feel better. I don't want to have to keep puffing on this fucking vape all the time. I don't need that in my life. I am fulfilled within myself. I don't need this extracurricular thing that my body has told me I need, but I know my spirit is telling me I don't need it, right? It's and coming in tune with the spirit body, the spiritual body. Once you come in tune with it, it starts to speak to you, and then it speaks louder and it speaks louder. And the more you listen to it and stop pushing it away and being and delaying things, then it gets stronger, and then you get the resolve to overcome things like addictions. And I do have a quote, right? This is called. I'll leave us with this: "The narrow way of attainment." This is from
Ooh,
E. Butler. You have unfolded and matured. You're among the ripe fruits of the earth, and you are not satisfied with the things of the world as they are. You want to rise into immortality without death. To do this, you have to increase the life power in the body. You must reverse the action of those forces that are now controlling. So you begin at the generative function to stop all waste of generated life. What do you mean, says one? We mean simply this: both man and woman are affected by the lunar periods, only women more visibly, man less. Every time the moon comes into the sign which the earth was in when they were born, there is a psychic germ matured in the body. We talked about this. This is the chrism. The psychic germ is under the control of the moon and planetary system, astrology, which govern the law of generation, and it will be taken from you either by your own voluntary act of generation or involuntary through habit. So that every time the moon makes its circuit, this germ life that is generated in the body is either used or wasted. And remember, this germ is pure life, and the retention of it is the only means of increasing power. We have in our own reach the mighty creative energy of worlds. Yes, even in our own body. And we want to utilize it. We want to make this our servant. We have been its servant since the world began. Now we have declared our independence, and we can be ruled by nothing short of the infinite will. We lack strength. We begin at that function and watch as if we are watching an adversary with a determination that nothing shall cause the loss of that vital fluid. For through its retention, we can regenerate ourselves and thereby increase mental and spiritual power. The narrow way of
And that thing, oh, I'm sorry, was that it?
it's the narrow way of attainment by H.E. Butler.
Gotcha. And that there, folks, that's the tea.
Don't spill your own tea.
That's
You will
right.
unlock the gland of milk and honey. There's a little symbolism for you. Time.
We love you guys. Have a great day.